did bring a computer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I've got another extra one of these.
I don't really like doing stuff like this.
How are your classes?
Good.
Yeah?
You all's been fun.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
It was fun. We hung out like 2 hours today.
Oh, cool. Erin was also yesterday, like, I don't know where she was. I was like, I think she's in the ending wall. Do you wanna be
Right here.
where the people are? Hi.
From here, you can download it.
You can go to, they will give you the link that you need, but it's Playbook 3D.
Okay.
Yeah, but they will post the links. Hello. Welcome, welcome. How's it going?
It was hard finding this classroom.
Oh, yes, yes.
Very difficult.
Very tricky. It's different building, I know. People don't know it exists. But you made it. You guys, get me the camera shot so they can see you. You can say hi also.
I didn't know we were on the camera.
How's it going, guys?
What's up?
They can hear
Thanks
you.
for coming. Hey, guys.
Hi, you. How's it going? Let me see if I can stop these so I can edit this. bunch of empty chairs. Yay! Either people are lost finding their room.
No, it took me a while.
Yeah?
I like walked up and down the hallway because I didn't know like you can go like there was like side entrances or like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It is tricky. Yeah, you can sit over here or over there, wherever you prefer. I can also move this one. That's just to put it back.
oh what is it?
Like in case people didn't bring a computer. I was like, I have computers for everybody. Cool. Alright, let me switch slides. I'm gonna press no.
Oh wait, no, not that. Wait,
Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you everyone for coming. Please, thanks for taking your time in a crazy, crazy week of midterms and presentation week in class. Let me introduce you guys. You see them on the screen. Skylar and JD from Playbook. They are amazing. Skylar was in a panel with Aaron during South by. That's where we met, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
A little
and I
bit ago.
met JD online. He gave me like a walkthrough of Playbook, which was super cool, and I'm very excited for you guys to see it, which maybe you can incorporate into your projects and see what happens. So yeah, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. We have a little bit of a deck we can kind of run through that has some more images.
Take it away.
Cool. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cool. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So brief little intros on ourselves. My name is JD. Skylar and I met at USC, where we graduated from. Playbook was originally our capstone project that we rolled into a startup. My background's in like digital fabrication, computational design. I spent some time doing AR, VR at Mira. Mira was a hardware and software startup that ended up selling to Apple. And yeah, I've just been very interested in the medium of AR, VR for a while. Skylar?
Hi, I'm Skylar, co-founder, CTO Playbook. I came from 3D graphics, animation, video game development, and then was very focused on augmented virtual reality, up through now focusing on diffusion, rendering techniques. Yeah, that was kind of how NJ and I we met at USC.
Yeah, and then we'll kind of get into like what Playbook is. But before we do that, we really like to start the conversation, the presentation with just like this slide deck, or this specific comic from Alex Norris. It kind of talks about the creative process. So you guys are probably all familiar with it as you're in like a creative club and you're all taking this class or this course. So the kind of creative process often starts with, you have an idea in your head and you want to kind of bring it to reality and maybe manifest it on paper or manifest it in a AR VR environment. But that process is very, very difficult, right? You might not have the technical skills to kind of bring out what you want, and it might not align with the original vision, which leads you to like an oh no moment. So the topic of our conversation isn't necessarily on the drawing cats or drawing comic strips, but more so about how we're moving towards interactive 3D and immersive experiences. So the Apple Vision Pro came out recently. There's a wave of new devices like the Meta Orions and like the Snapchat goggles that came out like last week. So I think we're all aware that we're moving towards this like future that will have devices that can kind of allow us to adopt and use immersive 3D experiences. And Playbook kind of was built around solving problems in that space. So the original versions of Playbook were very different than what we do now, but we were originally building like a Figma UI UX tool for VR developers. So, it's not the greatest experience doing UI in Unity or Unreal. And so we were trying to make it more accessible for like a non-technical designer to build apps. So that's what V1 of Playbook kind of worked on. Over the last like 2 years or year and a half or so, we've kind of shifted gears from UI UX towards more scenes and environments, because we don't necessarily think that if you're going to put on a headset, the idea is to like not just look at 2D screens and 2D panels. You kind of want to build worlds, and you want to kind of move the future towards something more interactive and more 3D, not just like 2D panels. So we started building out prototypes and platforms that let you collaborate together. So Playbook originally, when we talked to Zalia and at South by Southwest, we were presenting our collaborative editor. What we're working on now, though, is a little bit different. It's on the rendering process and the process of getting your final images and getting away from physics-based rendering that limited the quality that you would get here, so that you can kind of get more photoreal and more kind of different visual styles. So that's kind of how our evolution as a startup. Part of you might have seen the description. We won an Auggie for some of the work that we were doing. So in June of this year, we got voted best startup to watch at the Auggie Award in Long Beach, California. The judges, which were a bunch of VCs who are interested in VR, voted us because they saw the potential in what we were building. Since then, we've kind of built a couple prototypes and shared some of the stuff that we've been doing online, and had a couple posts go viral, which is why we're like pursuing this direction and going very, very heavy on the rendering process. So I just gave a little bit of context on the timeline and like what Playbook is, but let's like zoom out a little bit and go to like the process of what we're doing and what we're building. Skylar, do you want to give some context?
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So kind of where this started was kind of around 2022. Obviously, there was models before this, but the diffusion models really like accelerated the speed with which you could go and kind of get to a final output, first with image, and then obviously went to video. Originally, Stability AI kind of piloted that effort, and now others have kind of continued on. But with that volume and that speed, there next came this desire for control. So then there became interfaces. This is one example, Comfy UI, and still very much at the dev level, but for more steering, a specific output. I want a specific subject. I want a specific composition. And so this is where we are today with with these kind of interfaces. So with all this, even with that level of control at the more development level, we still see visual AI being limited to pre-production. That's due to a lack of consistency and control. And when you need frame to frame, you need your character to maintain being your character. It can't become another character at the end of the film. That's really what limits it from kind of reaching that final post-production state that I think we all want to achieve. And that's actually very interesting because it allows not just the larger studios who have the resources to kind of do these larger more time-intensive processes, but the independent creator can, with this technology, eventually create these like big budget films and pieces of media. We like to include these just to kind of show like where image to video models or just like text to video models are right now. So what you're seeing here is like, it is understanding an idea of where you're trying to go, but you have a real lack of control and even fidelity. Like you saw, like the dinosaur detaches its head at one point. Hands, faces are really hard, and those are all improving. But we're trying to kind of come at this and kind of using these models to try to steer that output with more data from 3D scenes.
So going into what Playbook is a 3D editor. We'll give you guys all access to this in a little bit. It's just beta.playbook3d.com if you want. But it's a web-based 3D editor that lets you build out a 3D scene, and it could be a 3D animation if you want. And then it renders that image. So going from a non-textured model towards these like highly stylized and highly textured models, which is here. Here's a good example. So this could be the input. It could be animated. It doesn't need to be animated. We have control over segmenting each aspect of the scene. So I can describe that I want this plane right here to be like reflective water. And using natural language and using our AI model, it'll know that water should be like reflective and there should be waves. I want this palm tree to be this palm, I want to describe this 3D model of a palm tree as like a palm tree. So rather than having to painstakingly paint every pixel and every text and apply textures to every model in the scene, I can kind of just rapidly visualize what I want. So we'll show you how it works in like action. Skylar, do you want to Yeah,
Yeah.
share your screen. Hold on.
I'll swap over for a second.
Yeah.
Replace current share.
Yes.
Cool. Alrighty, can I read through my screen? Cool. Um, so there's just one very basic, or I think it's actually scanned. This is a model of a diner. So you can see I can adjust these assets. This is a very basic 3D scene. Um, this is within our web editor. So from here, I can pilot my shot. I can change aspect ratio, focal length. But so right now, what I'm gonna do is I just want to like block a shot. So I'm gonna maybe rotate the camera like this. And okay, maybe like, all right, this is like kind of like that. Cool. I've preloaded up a prompt to move the zoom thing over. So here we expose a couple of workflows. This is going to be a retexture workflow. So I can define, like what's the lighting, what's the, any kind of particle effects, like what's the look of every object in the scene, just using these prompts. I've pre-warmed it. Let's see what it does now. Takes 30 seconds to a minute, depending on if the GPU is warm. This is what I just rendered to warm it up. So you can see here, you're able to have consistent, composition geometry while controlling the style, controlling look. I'm just gonna come back. Cool. Okay. So now you see we have the bars on the ceiling, the table in front. We're working on improving the adherence with this specific model, but this is very powerful because you can take this and potentially feed this into an image to video model, or we're also working on a video workflow that allows you to just a basic 3D animation. Every single frame we will render like this to create a full video. I will tab over to I had this up on the another scene, which is a simpler scene. So we also have the ability to assign object-specific prompts. So this I had previously got this up. So I might want to make this car a very specific kind of car. So I can add it to the mask here. I want to make it a white 1980s Porsche. If you put it in parentheses, by the way, it like increases the strength of the prompt. I want the background to be a blue sky with clouds. And then I want the floor to be grass with flowers. Okay, cool. That's gonna take, I think it's gonna warm up. But that's super exciting. Again, from like at the most granular level. Creating renders. We're also dropping a Blender plugin very, very soon this week because this is super convenient and lightweight. But if you want to get into more and more complex scenes, we can do that as well. So we'll just let that come back. And I have the same ability to obviously repilot. Yeah, it's 30 seconds roughly. If you also wanted to use an image too, you can do that. We support that. Okay, cool. That was my white Porsche in the grass field. And then maybe I'll try to make it another color. But that's the gist of what we have right now. That should be quick. We'll see if it's quick. Let that go. But yeah, so this is how you pilot it. We also expose different styles. So these are called LoRa's. They basically can bias it towards a specific kind of style or a certain kind of subject. We have a couple that we'll expose here. So this is right. Again, we had the white Porsche, I want the blue Porsche. I'd moved the camera in between those shots. But yeah, this is kind of what we have right now. I will stop sharing my screen.
I'll drop a link in the chat if you guys want to give it a go. It's totally free to like try it out. We give you guys all like free credits when you make an account. You just have to sign in with a Google account. And then I will take over screen sharing one more time. So yeah, I guess, we've shown a couple use cases of like rendering a car scene or rendering this like island. Like what we're trying to move towards is like what Jensen Huang, founder of like NVIDIA, is kind of pushing, which is that like the future of media will very much be generative. And I think his specific quote is that like every pixel will be generated, not rendered in the traditional sense. We're taking kind of a hybrid approach of using a combined natural or physics-based rendering and AI rendering approach to this process, which I think is like a combined approach that really wins. here is like another example of how we kind of used it with like posable models. So if you have a mixed model and you want to kind of rig it and you change the pose of the model, that can then be used to create like photoreal kind of human characters of different styles. We've also done the examples of like using it with like brand elements. The 3D geometry really maintains the consistency of the logos of like the swoosh and like the Air Force Ones. Architecture has been an area that we've been like interested in like testing prototypes within. So going to that like ArcViz photoreal kind of style. And then here's a very quick look at like our Blender plugin that's coming out this week. So it works embedded within Blender. It's kind of like a replacement to the Eevee renderer, but it yeah, lets you texture your scene and use natural language. So very similar UI to what you're in our web editor. And then, yeah, so the tool has been out for like 3 weeks or so. It's still really, really new. We're editing it and making like adjustments as we go. Here are some kind of early images that our community has created. So anything from like, you know, these explosions to these like mythical scenes to like architecture and humans. It's been really, really cool and inspiring to see. And then over the last like 2 weeks or so, filmmakers have been using our tool to kind of create movies. So Skylar showed you guys that kind of diner scene that was at the start. We had a competition with 50 filmmakers to use our tool plus the diner scene that wasn't textured to create these different kind of movies. So these are some stills from the movies. And those films are going to be screened at the Culver Theater in Los Angeles on Monday. It's a really exciting time in like generative media. If you guys weren't able to find the website, you can scan the QR code to the left. I think it should work. And then our Discord community is on the right. If you have any questions or anything, you can answer them now.
I do have a question. Why
Yeah.
is the AI prompt between the parentheses stronger?
Oh, that's a great question. It's assigning a weight to it. There's a numerical value for like every like because you can go like one parenthesis, two, three parentheses, or you can like do a semicolon. I don't know why that's the syntax, but it is like increasing a number value for that phrase. Good question.
Are you able to like extract the materials at all, like from the image it generates? Like, is it putting actual textures onto the 3D model, or is it just using the 3D model to create the image?
That's a great question. And we are actively wanting to next go back to, retexturing the model, affecting at the mesh level. Right now, it's actually because there's no actual like physically based rendering happening. It is just completely, that's just the image that it's that's like diffusing. So it's yeah, it's not going back on, but we do want to do that next.
Also, the Discord link, I tried to join and it was expired state. So it
Oh,
was
really? Okay, let me put it in the chat. Oops. Or I can put a new QR code.
Do you want me to grab it?
Well, you need to create a generator. Right. But yeah, any other questions in the meantime?
I'll blow drop the worlds. Yeah.
Ask specifically on how did you guys train like the way that with the art style of this like process of how this tool process images?
Yeah, I guess so. We aren't training foundational models. However, we do support, and we're gonna actually support the training of this next as well. But you can upload custom LoRa's, and those are kind of fine tuning the base model. So basically, the process for that is you provide like 15 to 20 images of a certain subject or a certain style, and then it will. Yeah, once that creates that LoRa, it will bias your result always towards a, like it's Pixar, right? Like a Pixar LoRa. So that is what you can do that right now. So if you go train on like Replicate or Civitai and you give us that file, we'll make it work. But we're also trying to make that actually all happen within Playbook soon. Yeah.
This question might have actually just been asked, but I was tooling with interface. This is not like you can't export like on a specific 3D model, we're not generating like a texture. So we can like export this with normals or like a texture. It's just an overlay.
It's just it's just an image output right now, an image and then video soon. As the other gentleman kind of mentioned, yeah, that's part of the roadmap is to kind of move towards real-time 3D. So there's a couple of pipelines right now to either take and extract the texture and then rebake it from the other sides, so that you have like a usable texture in a game engine environment. We're like exploring different paths for that. There's also routes to go from like image to 3D asset that we're kind of exploring as well. So the fact that we're built on Comfy UI, which is like the ecosystem that we described at the start, allows us to kind of create these like multimodal workflows. Right now, we're very focused on very basic 3D to image and 3D to video, but it can kind of go back and forth really easily.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have other like things that you think would be cool or useful in this, definitely let us know.
I put the Discord link on Discord as well. You guys have other questions? Congratulations on your Auggie as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, little award. Yeah, the AR/VR community is still like dire to our heart, so we want to like pay it back to and support functions in that world. But yeah, right now we're focused on like 2D media. So yeah, if there's nothing else, then thank you all for attending. If you guys again have any questions or anything or ideas, feedback, definitely drop it in the Discord. We're building this up based on feedback. So if there's general ideas you guys have, definitely want to hear it. And if you're ever in Los Angeles, let us know.
Yeah.
We will.
Thanks.
We will be going to LA in January, right?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Are you guys going? Are you planning to go? Yeah. Hopefully.
For CES?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
We're going
Oh, no, not CES. What is it?
next stage.
Is it CES?
Is
Is that in Vegas?
the next stage? I believe is like the third week of January, maybe. If I'm not mistaken. I know
I
Eric's
see.
gonna be at CES for sure.
Cool. Yeah, definitely let us know.
Yeah, the plan is to take.
Well, thanks so much, Azalea, for hosting us. And yeah, it was great to meet you all.
Yeah. Did you guys get access to the platform? Did you sign in?
Yes.
Play with it. It's really fun. Yeah. Send us pictures of whatever you create.
Yeah, definitely.
Ew, yes.
Do you have social media that they can follow you or share as well?
Yeah, Discord's the biggest one, but all of our handles are just Playbook 3D. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about like startups or anything else, like feel free to reach out to. We're like happy to describe our journey. I don't know if that was part of the story, but yeah, we can explain that further if you want.
Oh yeah.
I can drop my links.
If they stalk you on LinkedIn to connect and see what you're doing, is that cool?
Yeah, of course. We're always available. Dun, dun. Yeah, I put them in the chat.
Yay.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your days then.
Thank you so much.
Hi guys, thank you.
Bye.
No, yeah. I have PTSD now. Why? The Discord.
From Discord.
Like it's exploding when I'm running.
Oh, I don't have it.
No, because like we have stuff to do tomorrow. And I'm like really sweating. It's sweating.
Don't sweat.
Yes, sweat. I'm very.
Don't sweat.
So much.
Don't sweat.
So much sweat.
Hold on, let me stop this thing. Oh yeah, take pictures of it. There you go. Let me move the mouse. If you need the things, there they are to take pictures. That was short I didn't. I planned it before I planned the class. So it just happened to line up magically. So, yay, yay times. So did it work? Did you?
Oh, I did.
I've been playing with the car. But I don't know how you got the different
No, I think just because, well, when I just logged in, it just gave me the dinosaur, and then I generate it, and it's like, it looks like that. It just automatically gives me the dinosaur.
Are we allowed to change the shape? Like any changes to the dinosaur?
You must be able to add new things.
Also, yeah, like I think, cause like this thingy, like right now for the presets of how they apply the layer, like I was asking like how they trained the existed, like, but that's kind of like ethics, so I don't know, because I really didn't put up because like that's what I said, like we can put stuff, like future we can train ourselves, but for the existed assets, how are they training it? And I'm like, that's fine, that's fine. This one is a lot better because previous 3D theirs was the other two time I tried it there was like a dinosaur head on the mushroom, which is cute.
What did you prompt it?
Well, it's like this is what it already existed.
Okay.
And then changing it. I can add some. Which is so when this is gonna be like more. I think that's what Erin's class on AI creativity is gonna go over. I think, as she said, because I have no clue how to prompt. I think thinking of a prompt to put it in ChatGPT or like AI is more timely than just because I feel that's like trying to generate an image or do whatever with that AI is like such an annoyance thing.
I don't know, do you know?
All the way they can do it wrong, so I can prompt it to make it right. And I have a very specific idea and if they don't do it, I don't want it.
It's just
So
like
that's like the yeah. And also just the ethics of the like I think right now AI is good in the
I think I'm gonna use this for the light.
oh that's so cute. What is
Yeah.
that?
Oh, it's just like a extension.
That is cute. I'm looking for that.
Okay.
If I have to do it. I use the I'm going to say
More than on this one.
So that like
Yes.
I was like,
Yes, and it's,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
it reacts
I
to
locked
touch
myself
design,
in the CMA in the lab for like the whole day Sunday. Like I was here
Or we can do it
from
like
9 to like 5 p.m.
I don't know.
Just working on the project?
No, because I have to do research for the tech stuff and
That should
systems.
be
And I unfortunately do not have a good, like a huge tech background, so it takes me
This
longer
one,
to
like,
look
this is
at
for
it.
the stuff that like the lights, like
Oh,
because
yeah.
they
And I
have
saw you asked Sophia about the.
Yeah, but
the
it's
theme.
it.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I have it on.
Oh yeah, you haven't met?
I haven't met most of the students.
Yeah, do you know them? Do you know
Fun.
Sophia?
I've seen Sophia. Sophia helped us with the 3D thing, right? It was a 3D workshop?
Oh, 3D modeling?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
3D printing?
3D printing.
Sophia's great.
Yeah, the lab is in a bit of disarray because we just got
So cool.
the bench put in, but from the parts that we have in there, we don't have any MP3 players, and we definitely don't have